and welcome to Blockchain Silver, the place where we analyze what in the world is going on in crypto. Today we're going to talk about calculating crypto mile markers. Warning, I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for fun and entertainment purposes only. It is best to do your own due diligence, form your own conclusions, and invest based on your opinion of the market. Cryptocurrency markets are highly speculative and may lose value. Be safe out there. All right, so I've been pretty open about this pattern here. I call it a smoking double barrel shotgun, or you can just call it a smoking shotgun. And today we're going to look at these mile markers. They happen in all of these, and you can calculate them. And we can see that there's actually quite a few similarities. And these are pullback areas. And really all they do is they just tell you when a pullback is coming. I would highly recommend not trying to trade these. Just ride them out because they all happen at different spots, different areas. But they are, in the bigger term, they are around like the same area I'll show you. And so don't trade these. This just lets you know if you were running a race and it was 5 miles, you know when you're past mile marker 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. You know when you're getting near the end with about 5.0 being near the end. But it's real easy. This is the hammer. And you got the barrel here, the smoke rising out. And so let's look at a few and compare them side by side. This is Bitcoin here in 2013. We have this pattern here with the dip. Then it takes off. This is Ripple in 2017. Has the hammer, barrel, and then it takes off. This is Microsoft right now. This chart is about a 30-year chart. Here's the hammer, the barrel, smoke coming out. And then we have gold. This is the pretty much all of the 1970s. Then this here was like January of 1980. And gold, same thing. You got the hammer, somewhat of a barrel. It kind of went down for 2 years, then up for 2, but same thing. Hammer, the barrel, and the smoke coming out. So I see this pattern. These right now, these 4 are the main 4 that I've noticed it in. I do see it in other things happening, and so we'll get into that later. But what we're looking at, some people may get scared and sell when they see dips like these, and I look at these more like mile markers. I have sold into these before, not realizing that it still had a little ways to go, but that's all part of the learning process. And then Bitcoin, if we zoom in where these red pullbacks are here, you can see 1, 2, 3. And then Ripple, 1, 2. Kind of had a few little ones, 3 and 4. Microsoft. Now I count a mile marker as it has a pullback after the old high. That's what defines, in my book, as a mile marker. So after it goes past the high, you get a pullback. That's a mile marker. So 1, 2. I think Microsoft is on about its 3rd one right now. Might have a 4th one. Gold, once it went past, it had 1, 2, about 3, and then about 4. Also with gold too, this is a monthly smoothed average. This really is not that great of a chart. A weekly or daily would be better. A daily really would be the way to go. And it would just show a little more of a jagged top here. Gold ended up going to like 205, then came back down to like 105 or 104, and then ultimately went to 850. And if you look here, this is only showing like 675. It went higher than this, but because this is monthly and it's smooth, we're not going to be able to see that. But all these other ones are pretty good, and these are all technology. This is precious metals, so... But let's have a look. And so gold, from the hammer to the market top. So all we're doing, we're just looking at the hammer, which is this right here. So the hammer, 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 and hammer. market top, market top, market top, market top. And also, I don't think Microsoft is at a market top right now. I think it's got a little ways to go yet. And so gold, 850, market top, 205 hammer. You divide the two, it's a 4.14x move. So all this means is from the hammer to here, 4.14. Bitcoin, 1150 market top, 225 hammer, a 5.11x move. So Bitcoin's right here, the hammer, 225, 5.11? Yep, 5.11. So gold was a 4 something, this was a 5. Ripple, 42 cent market top, a 7 cent hammer, had a 5.91x move. You just divide the two. So this would be Ripple here, 7 cents, 42 cents, about a 5.91. Now, if you take these three, since Microsoft is still in play and it has not finished yet, at least in my opinion, I don't think it has, but you take these three, you add them together, you get 15.16, then just divide it by 3, gives you an average of 5.05. So it looks like for what we've seen play out so far, a good average is about a 5x move. And like I said, Microsoft market top, this is just an educated guess, but I think it's going to go, if it did something similar to these other tech ones, the gold, when you average gold and it brings these down. But if it did about a 5.1 or 2 or 5.3x move, we'd be looking at about 300 for Microsoft. So this one's still in play here. It's still finishing out. And also something that you also always want to remember, this is way more important than the price. The price is important, but the time. All of these have a time factor built into them, and it's more important than price. Like with Bitcoin, this was 3 months, 3 months, 2 months. With Ripple, this was 20 days, 18, and then I think like 14. Microsoft, this is 9 years, 7 years. And if this was like 2016, I believe, and if this is like 2020, we'd be at about 5. So 9, 7, 5. I've noticed that the leg up is usually about half, maybe 60, 65%. It's somewhere between half and 3/4 of the first leg, with about probably 65% being about the average. Then with gold, this was about 2 years, 2.5, and that was like a 1.5 years or 2 years. And so this is what these three have done so far. Microsoft's still on the way. And so let's look at some mile markers. There's generally, in all of these, usually got about 3 or 4. 1, 2, 3. With Ripple, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I didn't count the fourth. I didn't count this one because it was tiny, but I did count that one. Microsoft may have 3 or 4, and then gold had about 1, 2, 3, 4. And so where these areas, this is where these areas on average generally happen. Now, it doesn't mean they'll happen right spot on at these. These are just areas, these are pullback areas. And what this whole presentation, this whole video, what it's designed to do is to help you through, to live through one of these. Like, I know this was brutal right here, and some people may get out and they still may miss a larger part of a move up. And so generally, though, on average, this is where these pullbacks happen, and I'll show you some. And then with the finish line being a market top. So you got the hammer, you just times it by the R value, and it gives you the mile marker. So the hammer area times this gives you a pullback. Hammer area, or you could say, yeah, hammer area times this pullback, hammer times this pullback, hammer times this pullback. So on the way up, you get these pullbacks, and it's crucial that you don't trade them, that you just live through them and you wait for the top. So let's take gold, for example, in the 1970s. You get the hammer price at 205. It had a pullback at 227, 246, 294, and 390. So what that looks like, it's just these right here. Pullback, so mile marker, another pullback, mile marker. There was a pullback in here, but because this is monthly and smooth, it's hard to see it. But pullback, and then another pullback, and then the top. So that's gold here. These are all your pullback areas. And you can even see the price too. About $390 was the last one. So that's 400 there, just right under 400. And so now let's look at Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin in 2013. Had a hammer price of 225. So that'd be Bitcoin right here, 225. And pullback, pullback, and pullback. So the first one for Bitcoin was at about a 1.55 when the hammer price was 225. It went up to 350, pullback, then 750, pullback, then like 880. Now, none of these are approximately right down to the dollar. They're just areas. It might have actually went to like 351 or 355. I didn't zoom in on them that close, but these are the areas here. And we can actually take a quick look on Bitcoin. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so with Bitcoin, we had pullback about, it'd be this little candle wick right here at about 350. Another one here about roughly 750. And then another one there at about probably 875, 880. Had another pullback. So you got 1, 2, 3. So with Bitcoin, we go to the 350, had a first pullback at 1.55, next one at 3.33, and another one at 3.91. So 350, 750, and 880. 4 technically didn't really happen. There might have been one in there for a day, but it's not showing up, or just a few hours, but it's not showing up on the daily. And then ultimately the finish line at 5.11x, $1,150. Similar to gold, had the finish line at 4.14x, $850. And then we have Ripple here. Now this is Ripple 2017 mile marker areas. Had a hammer price of 7.1 cents, or you could just say 7 cents. But if you notice, Ripple in 2017 had a lot of pullback areas really similar to Bitcoin. Bitcoin was 1.55 at $350. Ripple was 1.46 at 10.4 cents. Then Ripple had another one at 3.1 at 22 cents, which would be a 3.1x mile marker. Bitcoin was a 3.33. And then Ripple had another one at 4.59, which would be 32.6 cents. Bitcoin had one at 880, which would be 3.91. So all in all, Bitcoin 1.55, 3.33, 3.91. Ripple was 1.46, 3.1, and 4.59. They're both of these, for being 4 years apart, were really similar, as you can see right here. They're really close. So those are the similarities. And they're crypto, so I would expect them to act similar. Now this is Microsoft here, and Microsoft even has had a couple so far that have been pretty close. So Microsoft's hammer was $57.63. It had a pullback at about $96, giving it like a 1.67. Had another one at 114, giving it like a 1.98. It looks like it might be in one right now if we actually go to Microsoft. So this is Microsoft today. You can see right here how we're in a pullback right now. 185 on the 14th. The crypto's maxed out on the 14th as well. And so it's actually in one right now. And I thought that was kind of interesting that its pullback area, the 185, a 3.22 area, that was close to Ripples 3.1, and then Bitcoins 3.33. And so these just let you know where you're at. And so if gold finished at a 4.1, Bitcoin finished at a 5.1, Ripple finished at a 5.9, Microsoft may finish at 5 something. It may only go to 4 point something. Who knows? Like I said, it's just an educated guess, but it could have a pullback. If it's having one right now, 185, which I'd say it is, that's about a 3.2 area. And then also it may have another one maybe around the 250, 240, 250 area, giving it about a 4.3. Ripple had one at a 4.59. Bitcoin had one at like a 3.91. So it could be anywhere in between there. 3.91, 4.59. It could have one maybe somewhere around this area. And then I would expect a finish maybe around 301. It may do that, it may not. I know $300 is also a pivot point. $50, $100, $200, and $300, those are all pivot areas. And so this is where I see Bitcoin at right now on a longer term mile marker area. I believe the hammer for Bitcoin was $20,089. Once we break above this, which I believe this is going to happen this year, I'm looking for a pullback in the, who knows, $31,000, $32,000 area. It won't be over at that time. Then it'll resume. Looking for another pullback. Now remember, these are just kind of average areas. I took what it did actually with Bitcoin. Actually, yeah, that's what I did. I just went ahead and did the same exact areas. So my bad. Those are not averages. Those are the same pullbacks that Bitcoin had in 2013. So if it did something similar, 31,000, I would expect about a pullback. Maybe 32, maybe 33. Another one maybe at 66, 67, 68,000. Could even touch 70. And then probably a final pullback, maybe at a 78, 79, $80,000 area. And then mile marker for it may not happen. But if we had a similar finish line of Bitcoin in 2013, then 5.11x went to 1150. If we had something similar, 5.11x, put us right over the $100,000 mark. That's where I think we're headed. This is definitely not investment advice. It's just me sharing my thoughts and opinions and what I've witnessed in the market. So this is what Bitcoin might look like if this was 2017, 2018. Figure this was a year. Now remember, in 2013, this was 3 months. 3 months and 2 months, 20 days, 18, 14, 9 years, 7 years, probably 5 or 6, and 2 years, 2.5, and about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So 1 year, we're still pretty much on track. Now this would be that blip that we had last summer up to 13,000, but it could still do it. You figure if this is 1 year, and 1 year, that would put us at the end of 2020. That'd be end of 2017, end of 2018, 2019, end of 2020 maybe, or last half of 2020. And then 2 other coins now that I also noticed that I believe, this is just my opinion, that are doing the same thing, is Tezos and Chainlink. Same thing. Now Bitcoin's in a much longer one, but Tezos $1.74. Now it's actually surpassed that and had the pullbacks. It's had I think 1 so far, and so all we got to do to understand what a market top price may look like, we just go back and look at the averages that they've all done. They may do that, they may not. And so that'd be Tezos and Chainlink. I see these 2 right now as pretty good buys. They may rise with the rest of the market, but we can use these mile markers to understand that there's pullbacks on the way up and to ride it out and to hopefully time a market top. We won't time it right dead on perfect, but I'm sure we can get it close just based on what's happened in history. And so that's it for today. If you liked the video, feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I want to thank you for coming over to Blockchain Silver, and remember to stay safe out there.